Good afternoon. I'm Carol Sinek-Schmidt. I'm with the Historical Commission here. So today we're very fortunate to have Dawn Caln from Old Caln Historical Society. And I'm sure most of you know, but Caln borders East Brandywine. So a lot of their history will be our history to some degree. Well, we were neighboring townships. And so I will turn it over to Dawn, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for the invitation, Carol. What a nice introduction. Thank you. Thanks. And good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us. My name is Dawn Caln, and I am the current president of the Old Caln Historical Society. I would like to begin by thanking the East Brandywine Historical Commission for inviting me here today to share with you all about our society and to offer you a glimpse into the long, rich history of Caln Township. Just a glimpse. So this is a photo of the Old Caln Meeting House, and we have a museum there that we run. We are a private, nonprofit group. We became active in the 1970s when a fire damaged the Old Caln Meeting House. We decided to come together with others interested in the history of the Caln area to form the Old Caln Historical Society. While interest in the Old Caln Meeting House prompted the beginning of our society, many other points of historical interest have come to our attention, and they continue to be researched. And I'm just going to read to you OCH's mission. So this is our mission: to procure, preserve, and promote Caln Township's history, to bring together all residents and friends interested in the history of Caln Township and the surrounding area, to stimulate and maintain interest in the history of the area and its historical structures, to educate with regard to our history and therefore promote the social welfare of the community, to collect and preserve historical information, including printed materials, documents, and various other artifacts related to the history of the area, and to disseminate historical information for the educational betterment and enlightenment of the residents and friends of the area. Our society has researched more than 50 historical properties, and we have made the histories available online to the public via our website, the Caln Township website, and the Westchester University archives. We place historical markers at research properties in addition to offering free programs of historical interest to our community at least twice a year. As a private nonprofit, we rely on our members for support to continue our mission. We have membership meetings to discuss our projects, plan programs, including our popular Candlelight Christmas program, organize an annual spring flea market fundraiser, host an annual membership picnic, and have a display table at community events. Our museum. 1/3 of the Old Caln Meeting House is used as a museum to house the archives, artifacts, and historic memorabilia that has been collected and donated by to our society. The Meeting House and Museum are open to the public on first Sundays on the months of May through October from 1 to 3 p.m. Has anybody been up for a tour to the Old Caln Meeting House and Museum? Come back again. We're always getting new things and doing new things. So come visit us again. Thanks for visiting. We would love to see all of you there next season, starting in May of 2024. I would like to share with you today some of the fascinating history that we love to continue to explore surrounding the origins of Caln Township, which got its name from the original settlers who came from Caln, England. Over here, to my right, is a deed from Richard Pike. We have a copy of that deed. It was originally written in ink on sheepskin. This is a full-size copy, and it's from Richard Pike, and after I'm finished, you're welcome to walk over and take a closer look. It has his name, which is discernible, and it has the seals in wax. This was the deed to Caln Meeting House, which was built in 1726. Now, another source of pride with that meeting house is that it is on the National Register. as evidenced by this bronze plaque that's on the south side of the building, and it reads, Caln Meeting House has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places by the United States Department of the Interior. It was built in 1726. Donna, would you come forward, please? Thank you. However, prior to William Penn's father being granted the land from the King of England in exchange for a debt that he owed him, the Native Americans from the Delaware Nation, the Lenni Lenape, occupied this land. This is an artifact that was found here in our township, and here is a description of it from one of our past members. The large-shaped stone was found along the creek bank of Beaver Run by road supervisor Mr. Rod Dawson. The area is between North Bailey Road, running eastward along Fisherville Road to Bondsville Road. This shaped stone was used by local Native American tribes to pound or grind their corn and grains on a hard surface to make meal, like oatmeal or cornmeal, that was used for cooking. Mr. Dawson gave the stone to Keith Burns when he was 10 years old, and it's in our collection at the museum today. And after the program is finished, there's also a collection on the table in the back of the room of some Native American artifacts that were also found here in Caln Township. The paths of the Native Americans were used by some of the original fur traders who traveled those trails, one of which was renamed the King's Highway, because the fur traders would traverse the ground to load up ships in Philadelphia bound for England, or the King's Highway. Everybody get that? Okay, good. With beaver pelts that came from farther west along the Conestoga Creeks. One of those fur traders, this is the Gardner Beale House that is located in front of the high school, in front of Coatesville Area High School. This historic property, which our society was proud to research and mark, was originally the home of one of those well-known fur traders. And I never get his name right, but I just love saying it. I'm probably saying it wrong, and I'm probably spelling it wrong, but his name is Peter Bazillion, who is credited with building a log cabin on this site originally. He also is believed to have assisted the early settlers to acclimate them to life here in this foreign land. Apologize that this is so small. I'm definitely technically challenged. Spackman Farm. Our township is blessed with rich agricultural land, from which sprang many productive farms. Pictured here is Spackman Davis Farm, which was owned by their family for more than 200 years. A little bit more about Spackman Davis Farm later on today. Just wanted to point out a couple things about the buildings, and I have to use my words instead of the laser pointer because this is being recorded. So I just want to direct your eyes to the left of the photo. This is a historic bank barn, and that means that the barn was actually built into a bank that's behind us, and you can see if you ever get up there to visit this, and we hope that you will. The township recently re-roofed this barn, and the foundation is solid. So there are good things to come up at Spackman Davis Farm. The farmhouse itself, if you look to the far right, that was the original part of the farmhouse, and there is a date stone on the side of the farmhouse that reads 1767. Farther right beyond that, the first building you can barely see, again, that looks like it's built into the soil, is, they believe that was used as a root cellar. It has a wooden door currently, which has been replaced, but there are walls in there that are made of rubble stone from the land right around the farm. A little farther past that to the right, the building that's white that you can see if you look down in front of it, that's a spring house. That's a 3-story building, and it also is in great shape. So the spring house still has 2 cement shafts that are full of water. So the spring is still working down there, and the creek that that runs from that spring goes out through the front of the property. The second level that you can see, here it looks like there are dark spots on the side. In the back, that's a door, and in the front, that's a window. And there were 4 school desks. That was actually a schoolroom in there. at one point for a short period of time. And then on the top, if you would walk around the trail in the back of it, it was a smokehouse. And it still has, when you go in there, you can still smell the smoke, and it has the beams in there that you can tell were used at one time by the family. And the building that's on the extreme right was a stable at one point, and then it was used the most recently before the family sold this property to Caln Township. And Caln Township right now is in the midst of doing some great things up there, as I said earlier. But this farm has been around for a long time, and we just think it's a gem. We're really pleased to be able to support the history of it. So if you have farms, you have to have mills. And this is a photo of Edge's Mill. The fruits of the farming, both wheat and corn, led to the proliferation of many mills, so many in number that a local waterway, Beaver Creek, spawned an area filled with numerous mills, which became known as the Mill District. Seen here is Edge's Mill, and I learned at a program that I was here several years ago that this mill is one of the few standing 18th century mills in the country, and that people travel to Caln Township to see this mill and photograph it. It still exists today, and this is what it looks like. It's absolutely lovingly taken care of by the owner. This is a cornmeal bag, and we have the original in the museum. I'm going to have Donna just bring it down so you can take a look at it. It's really beautiful. It's a really beautiful piece of folk art, and it is a cornmeal bag from, you can read it, Beaver Valley Roller Mills, cornmeal, yellow corn, Jacob V. Edge, Downingtown, PA. At that point, it was considered Downingtown. This is one of our pride and joys here in Caln Township that we delighted in being able to research. The original house of the owners of Edge's Mill can be seen across the road from the actual mill. And I'm going to embarrass the current owner, Kathy. Wave, please. Kathy Callahan and Pete Callahan bought this, and this is what it looks like today, thanks to their loving care. Also in this area are the Millwright's house, a house known as the Corner House that was built in the 19th century for a family member, a blacksmith shop, and the blacksmith's house. This is another one of my favorite things here in Caln Township. This is a photo of the Edge's Mill Bridge. Connecting the Edge's Mill Village building, spanning Beaver Creek, is a stone bridge with 3 arches, built by hand in 1916 by stonemasons. Think about this for a minute, of hand-tooled stones. Every stone in this bridge was made by hand, and I could recognize a mason that's here with us today, but I won't do it because you know they're oh so secret. So I won't do that, but I will tell you that this is on the National Register of Bridges, and this is another thing that people come to our area to see. There are people who love to follow bridges, just like people love to go around and look at mills. They come to Caln Township just to see this bridge. And it is in amazing, beautiful shape. It survived, was it Ida? And it was being pummeled by trees that had downed and were smashing into the arches. And this bridge just stood the test of time. This is a marker that's on the side of the bridge, and it's identified as County Bridge number 124, but you can look this up on the internet. It is on the National Historic Register. Now, a second farm that we can't forget to mention is Greenwood Manor. It was established by Quakers Richard and Mary Edge Pym. Richard ran a thriving farm, but was also a scholar with a firm belief in education, which led him to construct to the west of this manor a hexagonal schoolhouse to educate both the Pym and the neighborhood children. Now, I have a photo board up here that you're welcome to look at afterwards, but Donna's just going to walk it back through the middle quickly. This shows a photo of the farm, and see if you can find the hexagonal schoolhouse where it was located originally. Mary Edge was a lot more attractive than this. I just want to say that because there are some photos of her, and we're delighted to have this beautiful original oil painting of her, but she was a lot more attractive in person. We do feel, however, that this is a pretty good likeness. What do you think? Oh, you haven't seen the photos, but we think it is. He was a pretty attractive man as well. So, here's our dear hexagonal schoolhouse. For Caln Township's 100th anniversary, this unique 3-level building was moved from Greenwood Farm to the area of Geo Carlson Boulevard to be close to the Caln Municipal Building and to serve as a symbol of Caln Township in recognition of its deep Quaker roots and its rich history. So I have this here today, and I'll have Donna walk this around too, but it'll be back on the display table for you to see. This is a gold challenge coin. Raise your hand if you know what a challenge coin is. All right, I'm not going to tell you. You have to go home and look it up. So this is a gold challenge coin that was made for the 100th anniversary of Caln Township. And on one side, it has the hexagonal schoolhouse, and on the other side, it has the outline of Chester County, and it says on the Chester County outline, the Center of Progress in Chester County, Pennsylvania. And as I said, we'll have that back on the table for you to look at afterwards. Another farm that had a very varied and colorful farming history was known as Ingleside Farms. And at one point, it boasted that it was the largest hen farm in Pennsylvania. And we don't mean women, we mean actual chicken hens. Okay, Ingleside Farm. This is a terrible slide. I apologize. We have the board of it back here. I could not find the original photos in our collection. I know they're up there somewhere. So I had to take a photo of photos that were already photos of a photo, if that makes sense. So this is as good as I could get, but it's a beautiful collage. It shows the mansion at the very top, and that mansion is standing today, and we know it as the Buchanan House. Maybe you've heard of the Buchanan House. It doesn't look like this anymore. It looks very different, but the inside of it has a lot of original woodwork and floors. It's really a gorgeous building. We're delighted it's still standing. We hope it stays up there a long time. It's for sale right now. If you know anyone who's interested in a historic building and has any ideas, it's got so much potential, and it's been here a long time. So the Ingleside Mansion is still there. It looks very different today. In the bottom, in the center there, it says Barn and Outbuildings, largest barn in Pennsylvania. And I think the way this is displaying it makes it look huge. It really had a pretty good capacity. And then under that on the left side, it's the Great Dairy Barns. So at one point, there were cows up there too. And then down in the bottom on the right is the superintendent's cottage, and unfortunately, that no longer stands. The buildings are all gone except for the mansion, so we hope that that stays up there a long time. 12,000 laying hens, and can you see the egg that's on the bottom of the poster? This is an original poster. We do have the original up in our museum at the Meeting House. We have a copy here on the tables that you can take a look at before you leave, so you can see it a little bit better, but they had a sense of humor. Ingleside Farms, Thorndale, Chester County, I can't read what's on the other side there, Pennsylvania, and it's showing you how all these hens are producing a good income for that farm. A fun story is that one of the owners of Ingleside Farms, Mr. Zinn, was quite an entrepreneur who was also famous in this area for Ingleside Diner. Raise your hand if you've been to Ingleside Diner. Ah, how nice, how nice. I never got to go there, but I have heard so much about it. My mouth is watering because I think you know what I'm going to say. Ingleside Diner was built along Route 30 and was famous for its fresh strawberry pie. And I found out recently it's chicken corn soup. Built in 1950, known as Zinn's Diner, it was sold in 1966 to Earl Reese, who renamed it Ingleside Diner. In 2003, the diner was moved to the Midwest, and when I was at a recent Caln Township community event, a gentleman came up to our table and shared that he had been into the Midwest traveling, and he had a menu from the Ingleside Diner, and he promised to get it to us somehow. However, we haven't received it yet, but we're looking forward to receiving it. And one of our board members, Lisa Harley, who's here today, she's confirmed that that diner exists out there. So we would love to get a hold of that menu and share it with everyone. So Business Route 30, where this diner is located, is also known as Lincoln Highway. And the highway itself has a very rich history. It's known as Lincoln Highway, but here's a marker that is out on Route 30, Lincoln Highway, whatever you want to call it, in front of the Coatesville Area High School. And this is what it says: Pennsylvania and Lancaster Turnpike Road. This was the nation's first major toll road built by a private company incorporated 1792 by the state legislature. Completed 2 years later and praised as the finest highway of its day, the stone and gravel turnpike stretched 62 miles. This 37th milestone out of Philadelphia was placed here. There is a marker there. Early in the 20th century, this road was acquired by the state and became part of the transcontinental Lincoln Highway and US 30. Does anybody know why another name of it is a Lincoln Highway? Lisa? Why is it called the Lincoln Highway? Was that That's correct. Yes, the funeral train, the railroad, funeral train came through, and President Lincoln was honored by those he passed. While we're in the area along the turnpike, let's discuss the significance of another piece of important history that shaped Caln Township, the Pennsylvania Railroad. We just touched on it. This is a railroad collage showing the first train station and the coal wharf. So from humble beginnings as a one-building train station in the lower left of this photo, and I have a larger copy of this on the back table, and you really want to take a look at this before you leave because it's so fun. There's a man standing in the lower left corner, and he has a stop sign, and he was a crossing guard. And all I could say is he does look fierce, but he also must have been incredibly brave, because I can't imagine anyone doing that. And at one point in time, you can't see it very well here, but on the right side of that photo, at the very bottom, there's a small boy, and he was a member of our society for many years. He's since passed on, but he had great stories that he told about that particular station. The coal wharf was built over the train tracks in Caln when trains were powered by steam engines. So this is a close-up of one of the photos that was in that collage, and I have to tell you, this is really fun too. Do you think like I have fun with this? I have a lot of fun with this. I was taught by somebody who's no longer with us, who lived in Caln Township her entire life. Her name was Lois Demchek. Some of you may know her, and she always had fun with this, and that's what she always told me. Be correct, get your history right, but have fun with it. So one of the fun things that we enjoyed together about this photo is that there are 12 people in here. There are 12 workers in this photo. I have never been able to find more than 11. And I was going to use my laser pointer. So if you can see, there's one right here in the lower bottom on the left side in that little building. And there's a gentleman, again, these guys were brave, standing up here on top of this car. It's being filled with water. He's standing right on top of there. And then there are other people just looking. There's one right here. Can you see him in the middle up here on the tracks? And then there's obviously a gentleman up here in the engine. And then there's one right behind him. But I have never been able to find 12. So take a look at the photo before you leave and try your look at that. But it shows the enormity of the coal wharf and the scale of the undertaking. So here's the water in that hopper going into that. And there's supposed to be at least 12 men that were involved in that operation right then. This one is another favorite. Unfortunately, it's not big enough so you can see the detail. Again, there's a photo on the back table that you can take a look at, but we all are just in awe of this photo. We love everything about it. The motorcycle, look at that motorcycle. Look at the car. See the car, how the car is made? Look at the man standing in the front. He's kind of at attention. Like standing, everybody thinks he's really attractive, so the other ladies kind of all titter about him. At one point, we all had a great discussion about how much the gentleman sitting in the car with glasses looked like Eisenhower, right? And then there's a gentleman sitting over to his right. And they are, during World War I, they were the soldiers who were stationed here to protect the Cold War from attack. We love this photo for many, many reasons, and a fun story about it that is documented with a receipt is that the soldiers went to a local woman's house for lunch here. The house still stands. It's a very simple, small frame house on Loomis Avenue, right off of Route 30. This woman was Bertie McCumsey. She was the aunt of one of our current members, and there's a federal government receipt for a contract with Bertie to provide home-cooked meals to the soldiers for 25 cents each. One more farm to mention, and unfortunately you can't really see this, hopefully some of you can. This is called the Electric Farm. It was proudly, the sign on the side was proudly displayed, and it's a little farther on Route 30 toward what is now called Downingtown, but then was known as Milltown. And this sign proclaims that the farm, Lindquist, was the electric farm, not because they produced electric, but because they were known to be the first in the area to have electric on their farm, right? So they're not an electric farm, they're just electrified. So that's kind of a fun sign too. Here we have a drive-in movie. Raise your hand if you've ever been to a drive-in movie. Anybody here been to a drive-in movie? Oh my gosh, you guys look, some of you look way too young. So this was a really popular spot that we have a lot of great photos in our collection at the museum from. It was an iconic structure that we can't fail to mention because it was very popular. It was built in 1950, and the drive-in offered popcorn, soda, and even heaters in the winters. And some nights they ran a special. Anybody ever do a $1 a carload? $1 a carload. I don't know. Does anyone know when the drive-in was torn down? Does it? I don't think it says on there. It says it closed in 1975, and this photo is also back there on a foam board for you to take a look at. Yeah, it's too bad, right? But it's nice to have this photo. If the little photo insert on the lower left side, that shows what's there today. If that hadn't been put on this photo, Cool Running was the movie. Does anybody remember that movie? Cool Running? It was about the Jamaican bobsledders. Yeah, that's what was there at the time. I know. So our time is almost up, but I'm going to end with a few really important things. I'm going to circle back to the present day, and I'm going to share a photo here of the most recent house marker that our society was able to place on an adorable historic farmette that is just west of the old Caln Meeting House on Kings Highway. So look for these markers as you drive around Caln Township and try to remember us, the Old Caln Historical Society. I don't, technical difficulties, still on. Okay, thank you. Sorry, technical difficulties. The mic over here stopped working. Can everybody hear me? Okay, yeah, this is a great room. So look for these markers, and if you want to learn more about a certain property, check out the historical research at the following websites. So these digital resources are for you to learn more about the Old Caln Historical Society. So all the different 50 properties that we have researched are listed here. They're listed on the Caln Township Historic Properties file on the Caln Township
website. They are listed on our website, the OCHS website, and they are listed in the Westchester University Digital Collection archives. And you can also follow us if you want to learn information about our current events and what we're up to. We do have a Facebook page, so look for us if you're on Facebook. We'd love to see you following us, and we'd love to have you involved in some of our events. So if you're looking for a way to get in the holiday spirit, we invite you to join us for our upcoming program. Anybody been to our Candlelight Christmas program at the Old Caln Meeting House? We invite you to come back again. We know a few of you here have participated and are members of the society and do support us with this. It's a lovely, lovely way to spend an evening celebrating Christmas. The students at the Caln Elementary School come and they sing their hearts out. They love being there. We love having them. And then the Meister singers from the Coatesville High School come, and they particularly knock the roof off. They are so great, and their director, Rita, is just does an incredible job with these kids. We decorate, so we go into the meeting house prior to that evening, and we put up real candles on all the windowsills with fresh greenery, and we do have those all decorated. And we share that with those friends that are meeting at the meeting house, and we're really pleased to have it there that evening. Everybody really enjoys that. The families come. And then we also serve hot mulled cider and homemade baked goods that our society provides free of charge to the public. So we'd love to see you all there for that. In conclusion, I would like to give a shout out to a current project we are working forward to continuing in collaboration with the Caln Township Historical Commission. This is Spackman Davis Farm today, and we were very fortunate. The society did the history of this farm, and we have great photos. We have different artifacts and things. There's actually two back there on the table. One is that flag that was given to us by the family, the Spackman Davis family. The other one is the photograph. That's an original photograph from the 1800s of the Caln Meeting House. And it's pretty interesting. On the back of it, it's actually backed in wood. So the families that live there have been very generous. They actually historically attended the Caln Meeting House. There's a photo of a wedding that took place over here on these boards of the family. One of them got married at the meeting house. This is indicative of what is happening now, and we're hoping continues to happen in the future. So the family sold this farm, the Davis Spackman Farm, to the Caln Township. And it was very reasonably priced because they wanted to keep it as open space. So the township has owned that property for a long time, and historic preservation hasn't always been something that the group of commissioners was supportive of, but they are now. And what incredible things have been happening. They put the new roof on the barn, as I mentioned. We had an open house. And these are some photos from the open house. And volunteer-driven, we cleaned this farmhouse. We took out vegetation. And as you can see in that middle top photo, we had a wonderful turnout. We were part of the Chester County Historic Preservation Network Town Tours this summer. Were any of you on that tour or involved in that event? Great. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being volunteers and being a part of this. So you can see someone's dressed up there on the front porch. We had actors and actresses who all had roles from history. They were family members, and it was accurate. It's historically documented. So one of our commissioners, his name is Mark Evans. He's now the chair of the Historic Commission in Caln. He scripted this, and he pulled in some friends of his. Some actually are professional actors. Some of them just have a background in acting, and it was one of the most popular tours that they have ever had in Chester County, and it was a blast. We actually had people that we had to turn away. They just came too late, and we couldn't have them come through on the tour. But it was a blast. We actually had people that we had to turn away. They just came too late, and we couldn't have them come through on the tour. But it was a blast. We actually had people that we had to turn away. They just came too late, and we couldn't have them come through on the tour. it was amazing. And we're hoping to do something like that again in the future. And we're also hoping to increase the number of events that are held there. So stay tuned. The information will be out on Facebook. It'll be on our Facebook. It'll be on the Caln Township website.
Thank you.